just as like different experiences as a child, just not speaking up for myself. I was teased, growing up. And I never voiced how I felt about anything. And I just was so used to people walking all over me. So it was, August, what shaped me was her death. August of, 2019, I quit my job. I got a divorce. So, and I cut my hair. So, and it sounds like, oh my gosh, she turned into Britney Spears. She had a midlife crisis. Like, what is going on? But that was a breaking point for me. And I said, if all these things, like, what do you have to lose? You have to live. And there's so much going on in this life that I have so much love to provide and to share with other people. So while I'm angry about so much different, the traumatic events and, whether it's the racial injustice, when it comes to my own personal life, I have to still keep going. So I know that there's going to be tough situations. Somebody's going to have it worse, but I want to be there to give whatever love I have within myself and to be able to give that to somebody else who doesn't have that.
And that's real powerful because you're acknowledging and noting that, hey, look, as challenging as things are, and they are legitimately challenging, you still have the awareness and compassion for people to be like, hey, look, there's someone out there catching it even more than I am.
Yeah.
And perspective has definitely been an operative theme for tonight's show. So here you are, putting things in perspective and discovering your voice and helping amplify other people's voices and giving what you can, your stewardship and outreach. So what on earth does peanut butter and jelly have to do with outreach? Because I'm thinking, as a kid, and I would mess up the sandwich bags and stuff would go all over the place. And then, the brown paper bag. But what on earth does peanut butter and jelly have to do with advocacy?
It's so funny because every time I tell people about my nonprofit, it's like, oh, it's so cute. I'm like, yes, but it's a bigger story, bigger thing behind it. So PB&Justice is a nonprofit that feeds protesters while spreading awareness about racial injustices, and then with the leftover food actually feed protesters. With the leftover food actually feed the homeless around Atlanta. So I've been doing that for about a year. I started it right after George Floyd passed away. And I just had this idea at first, like, okay, well, what can you bring outside, that won't spoil in this hot, because it was hot as heck outside. And I just wanted to do something. There's protesters outside for numerous hours, days at a time. Some of them have been, locked up. So it's tough. So it's not like a festival or just any old event where they have vendors or anything to provide, water or snacks or anything like that. So I decided to bring peanut butter jelly sandwiches. And then from there, I came up with the name, and the rest is history.
And I tell you what, and it's history still being made because, like you said,
Correct.
You started a year ago. Now I know I got a little salt and pepper. I'm a little bit older, but if memory serves me correct, walk through us the importance of this past Saturday.
Oh, man.
You need to tell it.
Yes, I do. And just as Real Women of Atlanta magazine just said, you got to speak your truth. So my event on Saturday was a PB&Justice Presents a Spread Love, Not Hate series, which was a call to action to discuss racial injustices in policing, particularly and against Black women. This event was near and dear just because I felt like Black women were always overlooked, overworked, and underappreciated. So I wanted to put on this event, had different speakers, former Officer Beach. I also had Kenya and Lola, who did an amazing piece there as well. But my tidbit in the event was, I was just going to be there. I had these speakers, but then I became a panelist. 2 weeks ago, I actually went out and got a little bit too drunk, and got pulled over and got a DUI. And it was an eye-opener. It was traumatic, but it was a story that I'm so grateful that I'm now here to tell, because that's not like me. And I felt like I was sharing on Saturday, I want to be who I want to see, on social media. And you got to keep it real. It's just life. You make mistakes. It doesn't mean I'm this horrible and a criminal person, because I was like, I do not have a record. This is horrible. What is going on? Jail. But I felt as if before I got out, I was in jail. I was like, as soon as I get out, I'm telling the story. Because nobody will believe me, and nobody will understand, because it's rough when you go to jail, because everything else after that, you become a number. It's inhumane, and that itself is a whole nother experience.
So let me ask you this. You think about what you're doing advocacy-wise, supporting those who are amplifying the voice, amplifying the message.
Right.
You're providing nourishment to those that oftentimes get overlooked. Given that experience from 2 weeks ago, how do you think that's going to help you moving forward in even amplifying voices even further?
Because I feel like people are human. I think that's something that the biggest thing right now that people forget. People are human. I'm even learning that, when it comes to when my friends or myself, when I make mistakes. So we have to allow breathing room. Allow breathing room. So when I got arrested, it was, the police officers were so kind. But then when I got to the jail, oh God, it was a whole nother story. It was a whole nother story. It's like I explained on Saturday, there's different ways, and there's a lot of injustices on how, when different people of color, how they get to jail, it's different for others. However, there's no color once you're in jail. Everything is the same. And I feel like now is the time to really touch on all of those things. And I'm really fine and comfortable with ruffling feathers, because I want to touch on topics that we're always saying, women of color, no black women. We're going to start there. We'll start there. So I want to challenge it. I was that person who never spoke up for themselves. So while I'm learning, I might as well speak up for the other person too.
And I tell you what, voice has been the operative theme for tonight. So let me ask you this before we make sure people have your contact info, things along those lines. Do you have any upcoming events that people can plug into to help lend support?
Well, I will say look out for the next episode of the PB&Justice Spread Love Not Hate series. I'm going to be, that's in the works. I also have some merch coming out with soon. So I'm really excited, because I have a background in fashion, and the reason why I want to do this in particular is that it's all that money goes exactly right back into the community.
Awesome. So before we go to our final break, could you let viewers know the best ways to stay connected as well as supportive of the work you're doing?
Yes, you guys can follow PB&Justice at P as in Paul, B as in boy, N as in Nancy, and Justice. Also at nosh.is.
And there you have it. So we're going to do our last quick break and then our quick recap. So stick around for just a few more moments.